One question we often get asked is, how do our Longopac continuous bin liners compare with standard traditional bin liners? In this video, we're going to answer that question for you. The key thing to remember that comparing our continuous bin liners with standard bin liners is not a direct like-for-like comparison. It's like comparing apples with pears. They are very similar, but there are clear differences. The fairest way to compare our continuous liners and standard bin liners is by using waste volume and looking at the whole cost of use situation, not just the cost of bin liners. The amount of waste volume you handle on site will stay the same whether you use Longopac continuous liners or standard bin liners. So firstly, we need to calculate the waste volume and then compare how many standard liners would be required to handle this waste volume versus the amount of Longopac continuous liners. Once this has been established, we can truly compare the cost looking at the complete picture of managing waste, including the amount of plastic used, the carbon footprint, and the time and labour required. To make this as easy as possible for you to understand, we'll go through a comparison we recently completed using our plastic CO2 and cost reduction calculator tool. Okay, so let's look at a real life example now of our plastic CO2 and cost reduction calculator. Firstly, we're going to consider the time and labour costs. The first thing to consider is the time taken to change a current bag in seconds. And for this example, we're going to say that it's 50 seconds. Then we're going to look at the time to collect a new bag or new bags from storage in seconds. And we're going to say that's 90 seconds. Then we're also going to consider how many bags are collected from storage at any one time. And we're going to say that's 5 bags. Then we look at the total employee cost per hour, and that's the actual cost, and we're going to say that's £11. Then we consider the annual volume and cost of bags. So let's firstly consider the actual yearly consumption of bags or number of bags used, and in this example, we're going to say that's 60,000 bags. Then we consider the size of each waste bag in litres, and we're going to say that that's 90 litres. Then we're going to consider the average filling degree of each bag, and typically this is 20 to 60%, and in this example we're going to use 50%. So that gives us the volume of waste being handled at 2.7 million litres. Then we're going to look at the current cost per bag, and in this example we're going to say that's 7 pence per bag. Then we consider the bag specification and the amount of plastic used per bag. And firstly, we're going to consider the weight of each bag in grams. And in this example, we're going to use 66 grams per bag. Then we're going to consider the waste collection costs and the number of 1100 litre bins that are used on site to store waste. And in this example, we're going to say that's 10 bins. Then we consider how often those bins are emptied per week, and we're going to say that's twice a week. Then we're going to enter in the average collection cost per 1100 litre bin when you consider general waste and mixed recycling and a combination of those two. And we're going to say that's £12. Once you've filled in the parameters on the calculator tool, you'll be able to clearly see the saving you can make once you start using the Longopac continuous liners. In this example, there was an annual cost saving of over £6,000 or 21%, as well as a massive 82% reduction in CO2 and a 74% reduction in time spent emptying and relining bins. Taking a closer look at these results, we can see that the consumption of plastic with bin liners drops from over 3,900 kilos to just 693 kilos, which equates to a CO2 decrease of 16,474 kilos annually. This is due to 2 reasons. Firstly, the Longopac continuous liners are 50% thinner than standard traditional bin liners, which obviously reduces the overall volume of plastic used. We use a special 3-ply formulation, which means you don't have to sacrifice strength, but you can reduce the thickness of plastic. Secondly, with Longopac continuous liners, each bag you remove is 100% full, meaning you only use the amount of plastic that you need each time you empty the bin. Then there's the time savings to consider. In this example, the total time to empty and reline bins is reduced from 1,130 hours to just over 295 hours per year. This is mainly due to the reduction in time collecting a new bag and the speed at which our continuous liner system can be emptied and relined. With our continuous liners, there's up to 110 metres of liner near to hand, so you don't have to fetch a liner from somewhere else in your facility every time you change the bin. This means that the whole process of emptying and relining bins just takes 20 to 30 seconds with Longopac. Then there are the actual cost savings of using the Longopac continuous liners. Whilst at a first glance the continuous liners look more expensive, when you consider the overall cost in use savings made by the reduced time and labour spent handling waste, and also the reduced waste collection costs, the overall cost is much less. Your waste collection costs will be less, as with the continuous liners you can pack the waste as it's removed from the bin, so there's no air trapped in the bin liner, preventing wasting space in your external waste storage bins. In this example, this adds up to an annual overall cost saving of £6,050, in addition to the massive reductions in plastic usage and carbon footprint. When scaled across multiple sites in your group, this would be significantly higher. So in summary, when you compare this based on waste volume being generated and handled on your site, there are significant savings to be made, not only in costs, but more importantly, in plastic usage and carbon footprint with bin liners. To learn more about the savings you can make with the Longopac continuous liner system, contact us and one of our team will be happy to walk you through a plastic CO2 and cost reduction calculator for your facility.